Welcome again. We explored letters in the previous segment. Let's move on to other types of written documents. Minutes of the meeting. We know how important meetings are, and therefore the documentation of meeting is also very important. They have legal implications. So, when you draft a meeting, you should be sure of the components of the meeting. The name and the address of the body corporate comes first, and post that, we need to talk about what was the nature of the meeting. Was it a sales meeting? Was it an informational meeting? Where was it held? When was it held? The time, date, and location is also very important. Name of the chairman of the meeting, who was the convener? Were there any other member as special invitee in attendance? And then the names of the members who were present for the meeting is also important. Some people prefer to write the names of those who were absent as well. The resolution, whatever resolution is taken, needs to be addressed. We do not need to write each and every word that occurs in the meeting. A minute is not a transcript of the meeting, but whatever decision has been taken and to whosoever the responsibilities have been given must be mentioned in the minutes. What are memos? Memos are usually for internal circulation. So when anything needs to be told to, addressed to a small group of people, or it could be interdepartmental as well, in that case, we usually go for memos. For a wider audience, we go for circular. Now, for a memo, we must observe that to, from, date, and subject line, they are all in caps. So it strikes out. Again, over here, it is not the person which is important. Yes, the person is important because you would notice here, Mr. L. Sahani, who is the CR. So if I need to send this to Mr. L. Sahani, there would be a tick mark out there. So that would specify that this particular memo has been sent to him for actions to be taken. Notice, I'm sure all of you must be familiar with this. So in the notice, name of the institute comes first, and then we have notice in larger fonts. Post that, we have whatever we wish to say or notify, and then the signature, and then the person who has issued the notice. This is used for a wider platform. Now we come down to briefing notes. Briefing notes are extremely important, and they are used for sensitive purposes as well. There are two terminologies associated with briefing notes. One is briefing and the other would be debriefing. So let us suppose a senior official of your company has to go and meet the minister, or maybe some senior official of some other company. It could be a merger and acquisition, or it could be seeking approval from the ministry. It could be on a smaller scale also, but let us suppose it is thus. So in that case, the person needs to be briefed about what the situation is. This would be known as briefing. When the person meets the other person and comes back and then briefs you again about what transpired and the actions that have been recommended, that would be debriefing. So brief, as the word suggests, must be short. But when I say short, I actually mean that every word which is written in that must have a meaning. It should not be there merely for the sake of being there. It should be concise. It has to be short and it has to be concise. It has to be clear. Remember, the person you have briefed or the person for whom you have written a briefing note needs to amass enough knowledge in a very short span of time so that he can make the meeting effective. So, reliability becomes very important. Whatever you write in that briefing note must be correct. And of course, it has to be readable. There has to be a logical thought progression. The written representation of the briefing is the briefing note. That brings us to how we should write the briefing notes. As I said, the purpose needs to be established first. It is extremely important to know for what purpose the brief is happening. Once the purpose, the issue, the problem is defined, we come to the summary of it. What has happened? Post that, we come to the background. There are situations when you need to give a history of it. What has led to it? Why is this happening? So that background also comes in briefing. Now this background should not overlap with the current status. What is the current status? What has been said and what is being done? So that would be the current status. This is something on which the person who's being briefed will go and talk about. Post that, we have some key considerations. What should be kept in mind? Is it an environmental issue? So if it is an environmental issue, what should be said? What measures should be taken? If this cannot happen, how should we go about it? All these should be succinctly mentioned in key consideration. And then of course the conclusion and, if necessary, recommendation comes. So when we talk about conclusion, we should not add anything new in the conclusion. It should be what we have talked about till then. And the recommendation, of course, if there is any, it should again have the pros and cons. That would make a concise briefing note. Friends, it's been a pleasure to speak with you all and to let you know some facts about written communication. Believe me, when we talk about any written documentation, be it minutes, memos, notice, business briefings, letters, anything, we must always bear in mind that written words are documented. And when the written words are documented, they could have legal implications. So let's beware of the fact that whatever we put there accurately and in a courteous manner. Remember, being accurate, being concise, and being courteous is the key to written communication. Thank you very much.